What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Loop Live. My name is Matt McCoy, and I'm the founder of loopcommunity.com. I'm also the host of the Loop Live show. Today, we have a very special guest. We've got We the Kingdom, and they're coming to us from Orlando, Florida. They're on tour right now. We're going to talk. I've got a bunch of questions for them about their story and then just some general worship questions. But we're going to take some live questions. So if you have any questions, type them into the chats, whether you're watching this on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are. Type your questions in here and we might take some questions live. We are really looking forward to this conversation. We the Kingdom, you probably have heard of their songs as a worship leader, Holy Water, God So Loved. They've got a ton of great songs, and they have a new album that just came out this past September, so we're going to talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and bring in We the Kingdom. What's up, guys?
What up?
Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today. So you're down there in Florida right now in the middle of like a hurricane. How's it going down there? You're our news correspondents.
Yes, live from.
I literally felt like that. I've seen like the clip where there's a news lady and she's talking and a stop sign comes by and hits her.
Yeah,
But I
I know.
for the first time experienced that because 2 days ago the wind was the worst 2 days ago, and I was just grabbed some coffee and was trying to get back to the bus, and I almost couldn't walk. I was like certain that the stop sign or something was going to come and hit me in
Yeah,
the face.
knocked you over. I love those
Yeah.
little bloopers of like news people like out like in snow or whatever, and like the snow plow comes by and just like dumps a ton of
Yeah.
snow on them. Anyways, we are digressing here, but you guys, so you're on tour.
Oh, sorry. I was saying we were in Jacksonville last night, and we have 5 members in We the Kingdom. Scott is one of them, and we were in Q&A, and even throughout the show, he just kept saying hurricane. Like, I guess we bring hurricanes now, and can't believe there's this hurricane, whatever. And at one point, we were just like, dude, I think that's a trigger word now here, and you said it like 6 times. People are
Yeah.
like, looking over their shoulder. It's just funny.
Right. Yeah, it's like the word you do not say in Florida. Oh man. So tell us, give us just a little bit of background on the story of how We the Kingdom even got started. So like most of your family, right?
Yes. Yeah, so 4 out of the 5 are family. And then Andrew. So I'm Martin, this is Andrew. And Andrew is the only non-blood, but feels more like blood than not. I mean, we've known each other for,
It's been almost 10 years.
yeah, a while. So we've seen a lot that you should talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's so wild for me because I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, and I tried to start We the Kingdom probably 12 plus years ago because in high school I had a punk rock band, but I always loved worship music because I grew up in the church and I fell in love with music
That
because of the
sentence
church.
is incredible.
Punk-
In a punk rock band, but I love worship.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
as a young teenager, you had to get some angst out. But
Yeah.
so in late high school, uh, I decided to switch from the punk rock thing to do some more worship, and I would so put my punk rock band on hold, and then was trying to start a band called We the Kingdom under that name, and actually literally made like some DVDs to send out to churches. So like, hey, I want to come lead worship for you, and yeah, just as a young
Yeah.
kid trying to kind of open some doors, and I just for some reason like the punk band was great, things were working out great for that, but the worship side of things I just couldn't get anything moving, and I got really discouraged.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I'd have someone call me up last minute, hey, I can't, we have a show tonight, but I can't come play, and just things are falling apart, and so I got discouraged and put it on hold. I have the social media, the website, everything all set up, but put it all aside and just started doing production because I also love production. And that started taking off and went well. And so I was kind of disappointed for 10 plus years, 12 years, just like thinking like, man, I really love the artist side of things, I love the worship side of things, but
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't path that God had me on. And so a few years after that I moved to Nashville, met the family, and we walked through a lot of things together, just from a hard church experience where our community got really broken, and then yeah, after all that, we were kind of sitting together and started writing a few songs together, and that's when the idea for all of us slowly started creeping back in. Like, hey, I wonder if we should start a band. And for me, specifically, it's like, oh, this could be a really cool ministry, just like worship thing. And so um, that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago now.
I think 20 dancing. We wrote our first song, "Dancing on the Waves," in 2017.
Oh, was it 17?
I think so, bro.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so we had a moment where we sat down around a campfire at Ed's house, and we're like, okay, we didn't have any intention of starting a band, but it looks like, I mean, we've been writing songs and people are really excited about these songs.
Yeah.
And encouraging us to do something with them. So they're looking at each other like, what are we going to do with this? And I think all of us were kind of a little bit giddy, like maybe we should start a band, but a little afraid to say it because it's just, I mean, I'm sure for them it's an interesting thing being family, like starting a band. Like I can imagine.
Yeah.
That's not the first band you start. Is like the band. Like for me, if you would have told me like the first band I should start would be with my family, I'd be like, I don't know about that.
I think too, like in the beginning, talking through the branding of it, we were like, man, we don't want people to know that we're family, because when you hear family band, it's just such a stereotype, And not that it's a bad stereotype. I just immediately go to like violins and banjos, and it's a little more like bluegrassy.
Bluegrass,
So
yeah.
in my mind, a family band is like bluegrass, washboard, whatever. And so I think we were just trying to be careful to protect, like, this is not what we're trying to promote. But I think as it got out that we're family, it really started to connect and relate to people in a cool way, and it became an outlet for us to say, like, hey man, family's not pretty. Just because we're in a band and we're related does not mean that it's a cakewalk every day. Like, we have fights, man. Yesterday we had a fight about social media, and got intense and in each other's face. But then at the end of the day, you can just decide, like, hey, I love y'all. I'm sorry for what I said. And it got intense, but the heart of this is to show people the gospel.
Yeah. I would think even as a family band that maybe fights would maybe even get more intense. Maybe be more intense only because you're family, like you're
Right?
close, and you just
Right.
know that,
Yeah.
you're not gonna like leave each other, like you're family, and that's just the way it is. But like, how do you guys handle disagreements about
So
music or things in the band? Is it you guys all powwow together, or do you kind of deal with it all
Should I
privately?
reload the page?
No, you're still here. Do you hear me?
Because I'm still, it's weird. I'm still.
I see you. Guys, can you hear me? All right. Looks like we lost We the Kingdom. We hopefully they'll be coming back here very soon. Hey guys.
Sorry, man.
No, it's
Not
all
sure what
good.
happened.
It's all good. I was just gonna say, like, I would think that disagreements in a family actually might be more intense just because you're family. So how do you guys handle those? Is it something you guys all powwow together with, or is it like, I don't know, like, give us like kind of a glimpse on like how that kind of stuff is handled. Uh-oh,
Can you hear me?
we lost you.
So weird. Or do a phone?
maybe my friend.
I can hear you now.
You still got us?
Yeah, I got you now.
Cool. You want us to switch over to another device?
I think you're all right now.
Okay.
You could try doing it on a phone
Let's
if you
keep
just want to like
rolling, see
log in
what
on a
happens.
phone. Yeah. Maybe if it drops out again, come in on your phone.
Yeah, let's try that real quick.
Okay. You can
Keep
also,
going.
while we're talking, just load it up on the phone and we
Yeah,
can
we were just
switch over
talking
to
about
it.
disagreements.
Yeah, so I was gonna say,
Sure.
like,
Okay.
how do you guys working together as a family band, how do you guys keep personal and band life separate? Like, when you're doing a big dinner, like Thanksgiving dinner, how do you keep it from just talking about the band the whole time?
That is, I don't think we've ever been asked that, and that is a great
Oh,
question.
it's so hard. I mean, yeah, it's wild because I mean I'm not even part of the family, but there is times even as we're just hanging out and we're like not going to talk about music or just this is a hang time, a rest time, and it always naturally just stuff comes up. You have an idea, something comes up, and it's really really hard not to let work creep in at points. Um, Gosh, I don't know for you, like
Yeah, I think in our family, four of us out of the five are family in the band, but then my family, I have two other siblings. I have two other brothers, plus my mom, and so I think when we're all sitting at the dinner table, the main thought for me is like, gosh, I don't want to start talking about the band because I know that Franny and Dad would be fine with it, because we're used to talking business or whatever. But I
Yeah.
just want to respect my other family's, and privacy and not talking numbers or talking creative thoughts, like you said, when you're at the dinner table trying to connect
Yeah.
with family. But it's natural to talk business when you're in a family business, and so it's something that you really have to guard against. And I think that just comes through trial and error.
Yeah. I feel like that would be really hard to like know where the line is between work, like, hey, we're working now. Let's like put this personal stuff aside because now we're at work. And then knowing how to do that, but then also when you're like at the personal side to be like, hey, let's not talk about social media and merch and touring right now. Like this is about, this baby dedication or this wedding or this like dinner. Knowing how to separate those two, I feel like would be an interesting dynamic because I feel like it would all kind of start blurring together.
Yeah, it's also tough, man. Like being on the road when you're in work mode,
Yeah.
but I don't know, taking personal time on the road where you're like, dude, I'm sorry, I can't have another meeting or can't have another phone call. Like, I just got to get out of this venue in a coffee shop, clear my
Yeah.
head, because I think when you're out on the road, the mentality is that you're working 24/7 and you should always be available for any text that comes up or
Yeah.
any call like, hey, let's meet here in 15 minutes when you're like 30 minutes away at some
Yeah.
random coffee shop
Yeah.
trying to get personal time.
Yeah. So do you so switching gears, do you guys produce all your own music? Because I know that Ed is a producer. He's been a producer for a long, long time. He's produced a lot of projects. So do you guys produce your own music, or is that something you're like letting someone on the
All right.
outside do?
speaking of,
Huh? Who's
Hi,
that?
this is Ed. I'm right.
Hey,
And I
you
have to
came in.
say,
Ed, you came in
good
right at the
morning.
right time, right when I was asking a question about producing music.
Okay, I literally thought that y'all were playing a joke on me. And when I walked in to that question, like, I thought that from the context, because I thought that y'all are basically trying to make it look like, you know, are we frozen or something?
No,
I
you're
don't
here.
think so.
You are frozen, but we hear you.
Okay. Okay, got it. Yeah, I thought y'all were like playing the total joke, like that's amazing. How hard it is to be in business with people who don't show up.
You don't show up.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, I am so sorry that I'm late.
I'm so glad you're here,
That's
Ed.
actually
morning.
amazing that was the thing.
Ed,
And
I'm
y'all were
glad you're
selling it
here.
so hard, and I was like, "What is happening right
You guys are frozen, but I can hear you. So I don't know if you want to pull it up on a phone. Um, but Ed, I was just asking, like, you've produced music for a long time. You've produced a ton of records. Um, and I'm wondering, like, do you guys produce your own music, or is that something you let someone on the outside do, or because sometimes it can be hard to produce your own. Well, I guess it depends on the person. Sometimes you don't want to produce your own, and sometimes you do. Like I don't want, I want outside feedback. What do you guys do?
We
Uh-oh.
absolutely produce it all, which is such. Can you hear?
Yep, yep,
Can you hear?
yep. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, we produce it all together. I mean, Andrew's an incredible producer. Martin's an incredible producer. Scott's an incredible producer, and Franny has really great instincts, even though she's not maybe as technical on the running logic or something like that. So it is so fun because we all just do it together, and we'll sort of trade seats. We call it the
Yeah,
hot seat, and yeah, everybody's on their computers working, creating things, and it's. I've never had a production experience like it in my entire career, and
yeah.
it's a lot of fun. It's hard because we're all really, strong-minded, but it's a blast.
So your new album came out in September. One of my favorite tracks on this album is "God Is on the Throne." Someone sent it to me a couple weeks ago. I was leading worship at a church, and they were like, "Hey, have you heard the song? We need to do this as a special." And so we did it as a special song at the church, and like people like went nuts. Like everyone stood up like during the offering song. They were all singing on, and it's just such a killer song. Can you tell us just the story behind that one? Hey, hey, we got you on a different camera view. It's good. Is it I can't hear you though. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just didn't want to double it. So
Oh, I got you now. Cool. Oh, this is good. That's better, I think.
Well,
All right. So I was just asking about your latest album. There's a song on there called "God Is on the Throne." Someone sent it to me like a month ago. They were like, "We got to play this at our church," and I heard it, and it was just like on repeat at my house. Like I probably gave you like 100 streams on that because it's such an incredible song, and I just love the vibe on it. Like, okay, so this I don't know if you've had anybody ever say this, but like when I first heard it, I was like, "Is this Kanye West?" Because I at the beginning I thought like the beat kind of felt like that "God Is" song on Kanye West's "Jesus Is King" album, and but then of course the singing starts. I knew it wasn't Kanye, but it's just such a killer song. Give us the story behind that song. I want to know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's really kind. Compliment.
not here right now, but she had a dinner party at her house. Uh, this would have been over a year ago now, I think. And her and a buddy of hers just were worshiping and just started, kind of going off, and he started playing this chord progression. Uh, and she immediately was like, "Oh, that's really special," and just was singing stuff over it. And so she brought that from him, that chord progression, and then the idea that she kind of started the song with. And for a while, I mean, what was the lyric? There was just like a simple lyric with melody.
just think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just think about it, and and then we were in an interview a little while ago, and this was during the pandemic, during COVID, and we were like talking to a dear friend of ours, and we were like, "Man, what do you think that people need to hear right now? What would minister to their hearts?" And he said, "Man, I think that people just need to know that God is on the throne."
Hmm.
And so those two ideas immediately married. We're like, "Oh, cool! That I think that would be a really great title and idea for this chord progression and melody." And so we were in a green room. Was it also in Florida or some Alabama or something? I don't know. We were in a green room
Seattle.
in Seattle. Okay,
Close. Florida and
pretty
Seattle, they're kind of close.
Is
Yeah.
Then something.
yeah, I'm really bad with directions.
Actually, no, it's Visalia, California,
Okay,
because that's where Rob lives.
on the West Coast. Yeah. And there's a piano there. And we just sat down and finished the song. It's kind of crazy how it all. And sometimes it happens. Like takes a long time for a song everything to fall into place, and then the song comes together. Yeah, so that's the story.
It's such a good song, man. I mean, the whole album is amazing. That song I just have on repeat all the time. It's incredible. I also love, by the way, guys, that this feels like a real, true hurricane newscast in that, like, it seems like we have like a 6-second delay between each other. So it's like, how's it going down there with the hurricane? And then 6 seconds later, we hear about it. But tell me, what was the last couple years like for you guys? Because I know that, for artists, like, you weren't on the road, and that can be hard. Like, and what was it like not doing what you love to do, I'm sure. And like what kind of was it a struggle for you guys, or did you pick up new hobbies? Give us a glimpse into what the past 2 years was looking like.
I think, oddly enough, man, we kind of started our touring career through COVID, which was super weird. Because we made our first record in 2020, and then in 2021, when it was still going on, we were like, man, let's just see what happens. Like, see if people come out. That's when social distancing was still a thing. So obviously there weren't sellouts. It was like 40% of a room or something like that. But we just went out and started kind of ministering and building, our touring career and what that looked like for the first time, which I think was such a blessing, because it was a blessing to us, but I also believe it was a blessing to other people, because people were terrified, dude, to leave their house and, just didn't know what was going on. So just to offer a safe space for people, like, hey, come and worship. We're going to be, distancing and doing all we can to prevent, health issues, but we want y'all to come out. And obviously fear is not of God, so we want to kind of combat that. And so I think once that all happened and we started regularly touring and, getting in more rooms that was more capacity, like 60%, 70%, I think, it almost created this false illusion in our mind. Like, I think COVID actually did our band, as tragic as it was for a lot of people, it did our band a really good service, I think, just because it hit at the right time in the world where people were needing to hear hope. And for some reason, it was like these two worlds collided in the way that God saw fit. But now I think we're realizing, like, there were a lot of perks in COVID. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that isn't normal now. Like, certain prices you would pay, you were discounted. So now we're realizing, like, oh, it actually costs this to bring catering out or whatever. So I think there's a learning curve to that, but it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, it's good.
Hey, brother, I have to do this. We actually have a hard out right now. We have another interview that started 5 minutes ago. I just realized.
Yep.
I hate to cut it short, and I'm so sorry that I was late, but thank you so much for your time.
Hey, we're so thankful for you guys. Thanks for taking the time to do this, and stay safe down there.
All right.
Yes,
God bless you
thank
guys.
you so much.
See you guys. Yep. Bye.
Yes.
All right. Really enjoyed that conversation with We the Kingdom. Type down into the chats what's one thing you're walking away from this conversation with, and make sure you go check out their latest album and stream my favorite song, God is on the Throne. Thanks for joining us, We the Kingdom. And make sure you also go to Loop Community and get all the multi-tracks. We have multi-tracks available for all the We the Kingdom songs. So make sure you go to Loop Community and check this out. Thanks for joining us for Loop Live. We'll see you next time.